thinking of buying a business, although you'll be happy to know that this video is also relevant on the other side of selling a business and helping you understand exactly what's on the seller's mind. In this video, we're going to talk about why buying a business through its assets is a lot of a better idea on average its shares. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Pam Matani. I'm a lawyer and the founder here at Graphene Business Law, a law firm working exclusively with business owners and entrepreneurs, and doing so from the comfort of your couch, sauna, bedroom, and wherever else you'd like to call us from. Because again, we are virtual, so that means we're able to help you anywhere in Ontario or Canada, depending on the matter. As already highlighted in the intro, this video will deal with the buying of a business, although again, relevant if you're selling and want to know what's on the buyer's mind. So big picture, there are two ways through which someone can buy a business in Canada. And one is going to be through buying that business for its shares, and the other is going to be buying that business for its assets. Let's talk a bit about each of them. Buying a business through its shares means that you are basically buying everything and anything that has to do with the business. If you remember, for when you first set up your articles of incorporation, you would have had a box in those articles discussing shares. And you might have one class of shares, you might have two classes with one preferred class of shares, and so on and so forth. You might have a multitude of different share structures. But again, when someone is buying your business outright, they are buying all of those shares and therefore everything that comes with the business. So a real life example, or a real life parallel to it, is sort of when you see those houses that are foreclosure, or a lot of Canadians, I know from my clients, will buy houses in the US because their foreclosures are a steal. They'll buy like $10,000 houses just seeing the outside. Okay, so consider that kind of the share conversation is just that one picture you have access to. But then when you look behind those scenes, sometimes those houses can have $500,000 of fire damage. Sometimes those houses could just need a paint job and be move-in ready. So you don't really know what you're getting fully. Despite due diligence, you're not going to really know until you hit the ground running. After you buy the shares of that business, you're not really going to know what you got yourself into. And conversely, if you already know from your due diligence that there are things actively not wrong with the business in terms of like big legal issues, but you know there's things you already know you kind of don't like about the business, well, again, buying it for its shares is not going to get you out of that mess. Buying it for its shares means that you are going to buy the business outright with all of its issues included. So that issue, usually when people come my way and they talk about buying a business, you know, something like a tax conversation will come up at some point. I'm intentionally deferring that conversation for the point of this video, because I always tell my clients, what is the point of talking about taxes if the root deal is a crap deal, right? Like taxes are like the cherry on top, doing a little better than you otherwise would have had you not retained for professional help. But if what you're buying is a bag of tricks, then you're not going to care about the tax issue because you're going to be so drowned in the issues of having bought a business through the share route. Conversely, if what you're buying is an amazing deal, well, then the tax conversation is going to be just that, a tax conversation on an already good deal. So I would encourage you, if you're considering buying a business now, to more so focus on the genuine thing at hand that you are buying. The root of the transaction is not taxes. The root of the transaction is what are you getting in return for your money. So that's the share route. The asset route is the one I like the most. Why do I like the asset route? So remember I gave the example of that foreclosed home that could have $500,000 of fire damage, or it might just need like $500 in paint. On the asset route, you are able to pick when standing in front of that foreclosed home, you know, those windows, I can tell these people just got really unlucky, defaulted on their mortgage, whatever the case may be, but they happen to have changed the windows a year ago. I love the windows. I'll take those. The front door, oh my God. You know, these people might not have had the means to install this front door themselves, so on and so forth, but I can tell, you know, this is this front door is like a historic, an antique type of asset. It's worth like $30,000 instead of the average $1,000 front door. I'll take that front door. The bricks, not so good. The roof, not so good. I'll leave those on the table. So same exact example goes on the buying a business side. Conventional things that are bought when buying a business might be the inventory of a business, the goodwill of a business, the website of a business if it's primarily an online type of business. So there are specific things, but notice what you're not buying. Which of those things that you could buy were bad things? You're not buying the debts, you're not buying the liabilities, you're not buying the legal issues, you're not buying like the negative PR mess that could have just happened, you're not buying the cockroaches in the basement. Like, so it really is, again, from the perspective of like a root conversation perspective, it really is the best way to go about buying a business on average. Again, this is a legal information and educational channel. No lawyer in Ontario is allowed to give free legal advice to someone that's not their client. So of course I can't do that either. I can't advise you on like specifics, but by way of educational purposes, overall, buying a business for its assets is something that you should really, is the route you should really be looking into, unless there's some crazy good special sauce involved in buying the business for its shares. And again, even if you yourself are thinking that there's some really good, you know, reason to buy a business for its shares, I would still encourage you to bring that conversation to a lawyer's desk. So I'll end the video there. I wanted to keep it really high level. It was a conversation that came my way just a few days ago, and I was really surprised that at the lack of information that this prospective client seemed to reflect, not owing to their fault, but just like lack of information on the market that they had then absorbed, right? Like shares, shareholders, share purchases. That I think sounds a little fancier than buying, let's say, a grilling business for his barbecues, you know? So I think there is some, there are some misconceptions around the fanciness of buying a business for its shares, or maybe not knowing you can have another alternative, and what that results to in a prospective client's mind. So hopefully this video saves you all that pain. If you are considering buying a business where I would say the threshold might be, you know, in the millions of dollars of assets or more than 10 employees, then of course we welcome you here. info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca is our welcome email, like our intake email, and then we deal with those incoming emails accordingly. We'll make sure to get back to you within tops 1 business day. And also, I personally, of no relation to Graphene, have launched a platform that does sell the most hassle-free, protective legal templates at probably 99% off the price of working with a lawyer. So if you are looking to buy a business and you fall under the threshold of maybe $1 million in assets or 5 to 10 employees, then I would refer you to our templates at easylaw.store, which I will also link in the description box down below. They are as protective as working with a lawyer in terms of the integrity and the technical ability and the protections in those agreements. So if you are on the more experienced end of business person, we can work with you directly, of course at a good price as well. And if you're on the beginner side, maybe there isn't a need for you to spend all that money yet, so you can refer to easylaw.store. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. We try our best to post content once a week here. Of course, I am a practicing lawyer with other businesses outside of law, so sometimes, as you know, life happens, but again, we're on here pretty often. So we'll see you on the next one.